So I had that set to the lowest setting on here on the Milwaukee, and I've never really done any renovation work with this yet, so even though I am bagging, it was not doing such a great job on that. So usually when you're cutting pretty consistently, that thing cuts really, really well, but this is the first time I tried it on some renovation stuff. I'll do a few more plots here too and see if there's some differences as I get to that Bluegrass, which we'll probably try next. That's really, really thick stuff, so we'll see how that does. So I'm normally cutting this at 2.5, and I just tried to go down about 1 inch, which I don't think is really that extreme, but it's not doing it. The difference is, I think with gas too, is that you can hear the motor on here. When it starts to catch, it just cuts the motor off. I don't know if that's specifically just to prevent any sort of damage from it or just the way the electric motor works differently, but that's one thing that I've never been able to try and just tried today, and it's not working so well. Quickly, for those of you who did not see, I want to make sure nobody yells at me here because they don't know about this sale going on that we have. This is the first time we have ever done a grass seed sale. So if you're looking to get your seed for the fall project, right now would be the time to do it and save a little bit of money on that. Head over to rhinorlawncare.com and use the code SEED23. You'll get 10% off. This deal goes until August 10th at 11:59 Central, so you still have a few days here to get your seed if you'd like to do that. Thank you so much for all the support. Now back to the video. So this next process is one that I like to do, but at the same time I kind of don't like to do, if that makes any sense. The reason being is that if you look behind me right here at this ryegrass plot, things are really starting to look good again as we get closer to the cooler weather. We have a couple weeks here of a lot cooler weather than we normally have in August, so this is starting to get back to its fall glory, even though it's been really good during this summer too. But I've never thinned these out or cleaned them out or anything. This is the third fall on these plots here, so especially I've showed you that fescue here, it's just really, really thick and hard to mow. The bluegrass can also get a thick sod going, and we're at that point too where I'd like to get some better mowability and texture going on these. So today I'm going to make them look really, really bad before they get better, but I promise you they will get better in the end. So yesterday I was only trying to cut off 2.5 inches down to 1.75, somewhere around there, and so I wasn't able to do it with my Milwaukee mower. I've done plenty of renovations with this Time Master today. I'm not sure though if I've ever done one on quite as thick a grass as this. Not so sure that was a fair test necessarily for that electric mower, but we're gonna find out. Got this set down now to 1.75 on here, but I always found that the Time Master is slightly lower than those lighter mowers like the 21-inch mowers usually, just because of the weight. It pushes down into the grass better. Let's find out. I'm not sure why, but it's doing this on both mowers where it acts like the bag is full, like I'm getting clippings coming out the side and not shooting into the bag. I've never had any issues with this mower as far as bagging. In fact, it's one of the best I think that I've ever had in terms of really filling this bag full. But for some reason right now I had the same issue yesterday where it was just not pushing all those clippings into the bag on the Milwaukee, and the same thing is going on today. Now this is making it through there, but it's not liking it very much. So I think that was actually a pretty good testament here to just how thick that grass actually is. So take that for what you will, but this is definitely struggling and bogging down on this too. And I thought the bag was full, and that was the reason why I was getting clippings coming out, but it's definitely not. So let's go at it again and see what happens. Well, so verdict there is neither one really cuts amazingly well through here, but I did make it through this without the machine actually stopping. Bag got a lot more full this time, but even on the first couple passes it felt like it was already full, and it definitely wasn't. We had some dew last night. It's not wet, but at the same time it's definitely not extremely dry. So I told you it was going to be bad, but look at the thickness on here. I mean, it is like a plush carpet. And so what I'm trying to do today is get just some of this brown material that's been in here from summer and other times. Just, you're going to see when we use this next tool here how much is removed from here, how much it opens up some space in here for everything to breathe. And as I said, this will rejuvenate, and you'll see that in the coming weeks. But that's also why I was having some difficulty getting extremely clean cut on it. Is just once it gets so thick and just like a carpet, anytime you hit a little deviation in the ground and all that, you'll see a little spot, and just trying to thin it out so I can get the texture to look better. One thing I don't like about this machine in terms of this is that this catches on the ground, and so it always wants to try to pull you to one side, and even when you take it off, there are some bars here that kind of want to dig into the ground. So sometimes I do take it off, but it is sort of a pain because it wants to pull you to one side. Let's see if that makes a difference. There's a good chance I probably should not have waited 3 years to do this. That fescue plot and that bluegrass plot are probably going to be even worse than this one, and that's going to take some time and effort to get all this done today, but let's keep going on it. So that thing is a real mower with a cartridge in it, but you do not have to have one of these in order to do this process. You can actually do it with a few different types of rakes. It is quite a bit of a workout, and it is definitely some work, but if you have a small yard, you don't want a piece of machinery, you definitely can do it. Also, I've had an electric version of this similar type of tool for a long time too. I just didn't pull it out here today because obviously I have to plug it in and drag a cord along, but they're pretty sure they do make battery powered options now. So if you're looking to do this process and you think it's something you're going to do maybe once a year or coming up in the future every other year or something like that, it might be an idea to invest in something. But now I'm going to set this mower just a little higher so I can go over here again, pick up these clippings, and then I'll come through and mow it down again and see if the texture is better. I'll probably have to go through this at least one more time yet, but I need to pick up all these clippings first so I can get a good clean mow on it. So if you remember before how thick it was, now you can definitely see there's plenty of grass left here, but you can actually see some space in between all these plants. Now I'll be able to come in and better mow this at this height or somewhat closer to it and let this train itself to be putting out leaves right at that height, and it will look good here after recovery happens. It should take probably about a few weeks for it to start to really look good again. So if you're looking to lower your height of cut too, this is really the only way to do it, because otherwise you're just, as you cut down into a really thick grass, it's just not going to cut clean, as you saw on the first part there. So as I said, it will definitely look rough for a while. Don't be alarmed, but you'll start to see some recovery, and that's why I'm starting this now, because the cooler temps are actually coming sooner, and that gives me some extra time into the fall to get the recovery to happen. And we'll talk about some more things you can do recovery-wise in another video coming up too. So this right here is the plot that I have not been looking forward to doing this process on, just because this is probably at 4 inches or so right now, which means I need to really cut some grass off in order to get down tight enough to where I can get through it with that machine. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm not going to try to cut off as much at once here. I'm just going to go step by step down and see what happens with the mower. This is what I'm talking about. Just look at this. I mean, ugh. So check this out. I'm through one pass now. It's just absolutely disgusting. But look at these white stems here. So these were all pieces that are growing out of the ground, but they were laying over so much and not standing up and getting cut that they're actually turning white, and they're not even getting any sunlight or color or anything. So you can see here, I'll pick one of these out. So this long stem like that, and it's just growing a tiny piece of grass at the top where it was trying to get some light. So if at all possible, you can mow lower, mow more consistently, which is basically what that means, you're going to have a lot better luck, because this is not a good look. And it's really not fun, this process, trying to get it more manageable. So should have done this a while ago, but that's how life goes, you know? And just having a hard time even trying to get this machine to go through here. It just does not want to do it. The roller's all gummed up. This is by far the most frustrating process I think I have done in a long time with my grass. I am getting it close now to right at 2 inches, but I'm gonna see if we can get the machine through there a few more times and then see if I can get a cleaner cut on it, but it just does, it won't even bag. It's just terrible. Just gonna see how recovery goes and start mowing it lower, keeping it probably about 2 inches or so, and see what it looks like as we move into fall. But so this, of course, is the bluegrass plot. Mower did a pretty good job on it as the wind decides that it's gonna get super strong for some unknown reason. But so this is the last grass type I want to show you today. So I think this will give you a good idea between the grasses too, like how easy they are to work with, as we just found out the fescue, when you have it at 4 inches tall and you're trying to get it to 1.5 inches to clean it out, not so easy. But this was cut at about 2.5, just like the rye, this whole year. So I'm gonna see how I can get through this with this machine. So that works just fine, and actually this grass is so thick still that even one pass through there removing all this stuff, it hasn't even touched it yet in terms of how much I'm looking to thin it. It's gonna go through the same process here, go cut this down a little bit more, do some more passes, and I'll show you the end result when I'm done with it. Got everything pretty nicely thinned out. What I do like about bluegrass is it seems to still look pretty uniform after this, not quite as rough as some of the other grasses because you have all those growth by rhizomes, so it has a very uniform look to begin with. Not quite as clumpy as the other grasses, but so there's an example of the grass types. As I said, I will be doing some videos soon on how I'm going to start to rejuvenate these things, but also I'll just be keeping you updated in the next few weeks as we start to see some progress on recovery. So stay tuned for all that stuff. Also remember, we do have that grass seed sale going on until August 10th. So make sure if you're looking to get your grass seed for the fall season that you grab that while it's still on sale right now. So I hope that was an interesting look at some things here in the plots today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.